Now, you see, this is a question that Christians often ask. They often say, there's always supposed to be a king upon the Davidic throne. Where is your king? There's a super fascinating story inside of Tanakh that every time I read it, I'm just taken in by the drama and the suspense and the intrigue. And I think to myself that if this were a novel, it'd be a bestseller. People wouldn't be able to put it down. But the thing is, the Tanakh is not a storybook. And it's not even a history book, though it does contain the history of our people. The Tanakh is a guidebook for life. And by examining its stories, we can extrapolate messages that teach us how to behave and also how not to behave. We learn how to be good, Torah-observant, God-fearing Jews through it. And God-fearing Noahides as well. So the story that I want to examine today takes place at a very interesting juncture in history. The Northern Kingdom had been in a state of spiritual decay since its onset, basically. But the Southern Kingdom had righteous kings who were sitting upon the throne up until the days of Yehoshaphat. At that point in time, it wasn't a steady stream of righteous kings. Yehoshaphat's son Jehoram unfortunately married Athaliah, who was the daughter of Achav and Jezebel, Ahab and Jezebel. And she continued in the evil ways of her parents. Her parents had worshipped the Baal and the Asherah. And moreover, they murdered people, such as Nabot, who they murdered in order to gain possession of his vineyard. So Athaliah brought with her her upbringing to the southern kingdom when she married Jehoram. And she actually encouraged her husband to have his brothers murdered in order to consolidate his throne. And he listened to her. And she established a temple for Baal. It was a horrific situation. The southern kingdom began dropping drastically. When Jehoram died, he was succeeded by his son Ahaziah. And Ahaziah was no better than his father. And it came to a point where God said, this situation is so bad. And he sent a prophet to anoint Yehu, who was to overthrow Jehoram of the northern kingdom. And when he did so, he also, by divine providence, managed to take out Ahaziah of the southern kingdom as well. Yehu became the new king over the northern kingdom, and the southern kingdom was left for a period of time without a king. When the news reached Athaliah that her son had been killed, she looked around her and she said, there's no king sitting upon the throne. And then she looked at her grandkids and she said, I will make sure that there will be no king who sits upon the throne. I am going to have the kingdom for myself. And she went on a murderous rampage, and she had all the children who were fit to sit upon the throne of King David killed, except for her plan didn't work out the way she wanted it to. Her own daughter, a righteous woman, Yehosheva, took one little baby, an infant named Joash, and she smuggled him away to a bedchamber. And when it was safe, she took him out of the palace, and she took him to the holy temple. Now, nothing in this world happens by happenstance. Everything is through divine providence. And through divine providence, Yehosheva's husband just so happened to be Yehoiada, the high priest inside of the temple. So between her and her husband, they managed to get little baby Joash into the temple, and they hid him there for 6 years. In the 7th year, they arranged that he should be surrounded by many guards, and he should have a coronation ceremony in which he was able to overthrow Athaliah. Athaliah was killed, the house of Baal was destroyed, and a Davidic king was reinstated, put upon the throne, the rightful throne as heir to the Davidic dynasty. What I want you to think about is how the people must have felt during those 6 years in which there was no king. They saw an evil Athaliah sitting upon the throne. They saw that all of King David's descendants, so it appeared, had been murdered or died. Where was their hope? They must have thought, did God abandon us? He forgot about the promise that he made to King David in 2 Samuel chapter 7, verses 12 through 16, that there would always be a king for the throne. But you see, the thing is even when we can't see a solution, if God promises something, that promise will remain forever. Netzach Yisrael lo yeshaker. The God of Israel neither lies nor relents. He is capable of fulfilling his promises. So even when we don't see a solution, the solution is there. Now, you see, this is a question that Christians often ask. They often say, there's always supposed to be a king upon the Davidic throne. Where is your king? And then they offer the solution that Jesus was the final one in the Davidic line, that he was the king. Now, there are manifold problems with this, and I want to break them down for you. First off, in the covenant that God made with King David, it doesn't say that there will always be a king sitting upon the throne. What it says is that God will never break the Davidic dynasty from sitting upon the throne. There will always be somebody who is capable of sitting upon the throne. And when somebody is going to legitimately reign over Israel, he will be from the Davidic line. And that God is never going to take the covenant away from King David as he did to Saul. We see from this story that there are breaks in the Davidic ruling, but even when we can't see who the Davidic king is supposed to be, somewhere out in the world, there is somebody who is capable of legitimately being the king and continuing the Davidic dynasty. Moreover, saying that Jesus was a line in the Davidic kings is so problematic for many reasons. You see, the way the Tanakh works is that paternal lineage conveys tribal lineage. And if a person doesn't have a father from a specific tribe, he doesn't have tribal DNA. He doesn't have any way to say he belongs to that tribe. So if Jesus didn't have paternal DNA in one of the tribes, he could not be a part of that tribe. Ergo, he could not be heir to the Davidic line through the tribe of Yehuda. Moreover, if you believe this, that there has to be a whole line of Davidic kings without any break whatsoever, then you have to answer the question, where were the kings? The last king who sat upon the Davidic throne was Tzidkiyahu, Zedekiah. And after that point in time, during the whole Second Temple period, there were no kings sitting upon the throne. Now, if you're going to say, oh, the Hasmoneans or Herod, there's manifold problems there as well. The Hasmoneans, similar to Athaliah, took the kingship for them when it was not allowed. They were from the tribe of Levi. They were not from the Davidic dynasty. King Herod wasn't even Jewish. Now, if you're going to say, oh, Josephus said he was Jewish, no. Josephus said he's half Jewish, but there is no such thing as half Jewish. Either you're Jewish or you're not Jewish. Herod was not a Jew. I'm not going to get into the specific details behind it, but he was absolutely not a Jew. His kingdom was not from the Davidic dynasty at all. So all of this presents a problem for the Christians who say, well, where is your king? And Jesus was the king. It doesn't work out. The pieces just don't match up. Moreover, it was already prophesied that the children of Israel will remain many days without a king and without a temple, without sacrifices, and that all of this will be reinstated at the end of days, when the children of Israel will seek out God and they will come trembling to him. You see, all of this was already prophesied. And now we are very close to the end of days. We're very, very close to the Davidic line being reinstated. And all that we have left to do is to come trembling back to God, to say, God, there have been years in which the Jewish people have fallen astray. There have been times in my own life that I've fallen astray. But God, I want to come back to you. I want to serve you. I want to be pure before you. Wash me, cleanse me. Help me to be who you want me to be. Help me to be a vessel for truth and life in this world. An usher in an era of Mashiach, an era in which the true Davidic king will sit upon the throne, in which all nations will serve him together and will speak with pure speech. May we see the time very, very, very soon. But until the real Mashiach makes his blessed appearance, don't give up hope. We've seen this before.